Confite Domino, uniam bonus, confite Domino, alleluia, confite Domino, quoniam bonus, confite Domino, alleluia, confite Domino, quoniam bonus, confite Domino, alleluia.
Dios mío, ven en mi auxilio. Señor, date presencia. Gloria al Padre, y al Hijo, y al Espíritu Santo, como era en el principio, ahora y siempre, por los siglos de los siglos. Amén. And now we are going to pray with the psalm. As other days, we are starting with this cue, and later the other side of the room. O Shepherd of Israel, hear us, you who lead Joseph's flock. Shine from your screen throne upon Ephraim, Benjamin, Manasseh. O Lord, rouse up your might. O Lord, come to our help. Lord God of hosts, how long will you frown of people's plea? You have spread an abundance of tears from their drink. You have made us the taunt of our neighbors. Our enemies laugh us to scorn. You brought a vine out of Egypt. To plant it, you drove out the nations. Before you cleared the ground, it took root and spread through the land. The mountains were covered with its shadow, the cedars of God with its boughs. It stretched out his branches to the sea. To the great river it stretched out his shoots. God of hosts, turn again, we implore. Look down from heaven and see. Visit this vine and protect it, the vine your right hand has planted. Men have burned it with fire and destroyed it. May the perish and the frown of your face.
May your hand be on the man who have chosen, the man who have used, and the son of
God of hosts, bring us back. Let your face shine on us, we shall be saved.
If the world hates you, realize that it hated me first. If you belong to the world would love its own. But because you do not belong to the world, and I have chosen you out of the world hates you. Remember the word I spoke to you. No slave is greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they kept my word, they will also keep yours. And they will do all these things to you on account of my name, because they do not know the one who sent me. The word of God.
Thanks be to God.
Una universidad cristiana tiene que tener en cuenta la preferencia del Evangelio por el pobre. La universidad debe estar presente intelectualmente donde más se necesita, para proveer la ciencia a los que no tienen la ciencia, para proveer habilidades a los trabajadores, a aquellos que no tienen habilidades. para ser una voz para aquellos sin voces, para dar apoyo intelectual a aquellos que no poseen las calificaciones académicas para legitimar sus derechos. Hemos intentado hacer esto.
The kingdom of God is justice and peace and joy in the Holy Spirit. Come, Lord, and open in us the gates of your kingdom. The kingdom of God is justice and peace and joy in the Holy Spirit. Come, Lord, and open in us the gates of your kingdom.
And we are finishing with the next prayer of Peter Faber. With great devotion and new depth of feeling, I hope and beg, O God, that finally be given to me the servant and minister of Christ the Consoler, the minister of Christ the Redeemer, the minister of Christ the Healer, the Liberator, the Enricher, the Strengthener, to be able through you to help many, to console, liberate, and give them courage, to bring them light not only for their spirit, but also for their bodies, and bring as well other helps to the soul and body of each and every one of my neighbors. I ask this.
The Lord be with you.
And your spirit.
And mighty God bless us, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Thank you. Well, today is divided into three parts. Three parts today. This morning we'll be hearing from a number of people who want to tell the International Association something about what they're doing, and in some cases there's a request of the International Association, at least a consideration. So we'll have a series of speakers this morning. Each of them has a short allotted time so that we can get through everything. Some comments from yesterday. I hope you enjoyed yesterday. This extended the... Good. It extended this event a day because normally we do 3 days, and I think 3 days is probably enough. But this opportunity to go to Loyola for the day just presented itself, and so we have 4 days this time. So if you're feeling a little bit tired, I understand. The charter we signed indicates that this is an association of regional associations. That's why the 6 representatives of the 6 regional associations signed the charter. It's an association of an association, or a network of networks. The membership in the association, the regional association, is what is required to be a member of this body. So I hope there wasn't any confusion of that. This International Association is sponsored by the Society of Jesus. It comes right out of the GC 36's second decree, where it asks the society to form networks and to use networks to spread the apostolate, and in this case, the apostolate of higher education. So we're an association of associations, and most of the work, of course, most of things happen in the more local association. The agreement, the plan rather, not the charter, but the plan is a plan in development. We took 6 themes that came from GC 36's first document, and those themes were the themes of the task forces. Is it complete? No, but this is something that the International Association should work on. Not only is it not complete, we'll have another challenge when Father General's process of discernment is completed, and I think he's mentioned to you that this coming January is when he and his staff will choose the universal apostolic preferences. Once those are chosen, we'll have to see how our plan fits with those. So there could be some revisions, of course. I suspect that many of the topics we chose to work on are going to be part of those, or fit neatly into the preferences. But as he's been saying pretty consistently, he does not know what the preferences will be until this whole process is finished. So we're a little bit ahead of the game, if you will, and when we have our 6 preferences, I don't know how many preferences will come out as universal apostolic preferences, but we have things that we are working on, and I'm sure we'll have to figure out how those all work together. So the plan is incomplete until we hear about those preferences, receive those preferences, and I'm sure it'll be an ongoing process anyway, that strategic plans should be open to revision, and they will be. So the next of these assemblies will be 3 years from now. It'll probably be 3 days, not 4. And where we will be, we don't know. We will be calling for volunteer institutions who would like to make a bid for this. We had several very nice offers for this process, for this particular meeting. And so if you believe that you can host us, a friendly crowd of 300 to 400 people, probably, if you think that you can accommodate us, you will be hoping that you'll submit a bid. So as I said, today is in 3 parts. Today we hear from people who are going to make presentations to us and tell us about what they do and why they think this is something that you should know about. After that, short coffee break, and then we will have the regional meetings. Yesterday you received this white sheet which had 6 points on it, and this is the work of your regional meeting. So there's the charter. Any issues or concerns you want to raise? There is the plan. Are there any issues and concerns that you want to raise? You began talking about those 2 yesterday. The next 4, and then perhaps whatever comes up this morning, are things that you'll learn about today. And we ask you to take some time to talk about those 4, and at the very end to select 2 delegates that will be part of the board that will continue to run this organization, and reports to Father General, I guess through me, I guess. So I chair the board at the General's request. He said, I want the secretary to be the chair of the board so that you bring the concerns of the membership to me, and I bring my concerns to you as the conduit for the membership. And then we'll meet back here after lunch, and we will have this. I will ask the 6 regions, whoever is going to make your report, will come sit up here, and each of them will have a time to come and tell us how they discussed and what they discussed on these, at least these 6 topics. If we get the time, if we have the time this afternoon, I'll ask the chairs of the task forces to give us a sense of what they learned from the conversations. They've been collecting the conversation reports. That might be a little much for us to get through this afternoon, so that may not happen, but then that will be part of the report to you. So the first presentation I'd like to make, and that is how will all this communication be handled? We formed a group, the present board formed a group to study the issue of an e-platform. So you registered for this conference through Ignited, which is sponsored by and is housed at Le Moyne University in Syracuse. You went into that site and then you registered. A little cumbersome because you had to go into the Ignited site and then you had to find your way into the IAJU site. Well, what has been launched since we have been here is the IAJU.org site. So you would go directly from now on to this site. And what I'd like to do is the person at Le Moyne who has taken this job on is Tracy Kudo. She has been helping us put this together. She's going to explain how the site works, and that's where we will be posting things. For example, the General's talk yesterday. He read it in Spanish, but it's already translated into several other languages. That's available. So you get that. I don't have the homily. I know some people have asked for the homily, but well, I'll have to ask him if we can have a copy of his homily. But not only that, but anything then from this meeting. For example, in 2 weeks, you will receive a notice, an e-notice, that there is an evaluation form of this conference there, which we'd like you to fill out. So that'll be part of that will be on the e-platform. That's how we'll be communicating with you. And I'll ask you to do that and give you a certain amount of time before then we analyze what you thought about this meeting. I thought about it'd be better to do it 2 weeks from now than to do it now, so you can think and you know, you might come up with some brilliant ideas for what we should do because of what we didn't do. Or you might have some brilliant ideas now that you think are not so brilliant 2 weeks from now. So, but let me run this first of these videos, which is Tracy telling us about the IAJU e-platform website.
Hi, my name is Tracy Cotto, Director of Ignited.Global. We are honored to offer our platform's functionality to assist with the registration process for the 2018 Deusto Assembly. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the new International Association of Jesuit Universities website, IAJU.org, and to offer some ideas on how we can continue to collaborate after the assembly is over. IAJU.org, much like our network itself, is an evolution of the work that has come before it, most notably with the work of Father Curry and the Jesuit Digital Network. We're proud to build on the nearly 500-year-old tradition of Jesuit higher education. Please join us as we link and leverage this amazing system. When you first come to IAJU.org, you'll be welcomed by an interactive map of all the Jesuit and Ignatian institutions of higher education. Please verify that your information is correct. We will be asking you for more information in the future. On the homepage, you'll also notice an area to familiarize yourself with the regional associations and the work they do. While some regions of the world have well-established meetings and events, others are in the process of forming. IAJU is ready to help promote the work of the 6 regions. Next, let's visit official documents. Here you will find files in multiple languages from the Father General as well as his predecessors. Now, I want you to imagine that you're hosting a conference or event that you need a robust platform to help you manage the process. IAJU.org is built with the same conference management system that you use to register for the Deusto Assembly and can provide a seamless system to put out a call for papers, register and manage conference activities, and at the end of it all, you have a comprehensive archive of the conference proceedings. Another exciting feature of IAJU.org is the publications area. Let's envision that you're the editor of a journal. IAJU.org has a blind peer review system that can manage submissions from start to finish. Or, if you're happy with the way that your journal is run, we can distribute and help market articles. In the future, IAJU.org will be listed on Google Scholar, so those internal and external to our Jesuit network can benefit from the scholarship produced by our faculty. By now, you have already experienced the amazing work of the founding task forces. In the working group section, you will find the original position papers. As we move forward, this area will become an interactive community, open to all those who want to participate. Finally, we have the member section to keep you connected to colleagues around the world. As you can see, we've worked hard to build a platform that meets the diverse needs of our network and invite communication and collaboration, but our job is not done yet. Now we want you to be involved to help make IAJU the first destination you go to when you think of Jesuit higher education. We welcome your thoughts and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
So you will receive a notice every time there's something you should do on this platform. And as you can see, the platform is fairly robust. It can handle things like conferences. It could sponsor journals. It can take care of your needs to distribute your journals. So you might want to take a look at that. What I'm going to be doing with the new IAJU board is ask each conference, each regional conference, to offer a representative who will be the governing group, the coordinating group for this conference, so that we can hear directly from the conference. So I know, for example, AJCU in North America, Michael Sheeran has already volunteered one of his staff to be a member of this advisory board because of her experience with running the AJCU website. So I'm going to want one from each region so that we can make sure that we're in touch with each region. Okay, so that, I don't know if you have any questions, they could come up through your regional meeting this morning, but otherwise I don't want to open up the floor right now for, we could get stuck in a lot of particulars with this. But I think this is I hope this is a major step forward. I had a nice committee that helped put this together this far, so I'm looking for help with continuing to govern this, because there's lots of policy issues that have to be decided when you run a platform, more than I knew and more than I thought, so thank you. The first group that I'm going to ask to come here is a group called MAJIS. They'll tell you what MAJIS stands for. They'll tell you what their proposal is and what their project is about. They'll ask for your help, your interest, and they'd like your consideration of their proposal. Their proposal, like the others, most of the others, is in your folder, and they'll show you what it is. So you'll need your folders with these various proposals in them to help you follow along. So I think Olivia and Borja are going to make this presentation, and they'll tell you about their group.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Olivia Quiroz. I am on behalf of AUSJAL. And in this project, we have been working together with Miki Sugimura from Sophia University from Tokyo, Japan, and René Padilla from Creighton University in the US. So Borja and I are going to share you about this proposal of MAJIS Exchange. This project started some years ago with a group of colleagues from international education offices. There have been meetings and conferences, papers, discussions, drafts, a big effort that we only been thinking of the benefit of our students. After several work sessions, the project has been detailed by a group of colleagues representing AJCU, AUSJAL, AJCU AP, and UNIGES. We have not yet the opportunity to involve colleagues from the other two regions, but we are looking forward to involve them in this initiative, in this project. So we would like to invite you to consider this project as one and only opportunity to have a greater student exchange. That it's, we have been doing some things, but we want to do more, and we are confident that we can do it. Last year at the conference of the European Association of International Education in Seville, we decided to get together for the first time in a pavilion at the expo of that conference. It was a big and visible effort to come together as a network, as a community. We have been doing some efforts in some expos at the international education conferences, but we have been part of countries. So now as a Jesuit University pavilion, so it was the first time. Father Garanzini was there, and he encourages us to continue with this initiative. Many of you met Gerardo Marin. Gerardo Marin was a vice provost, and he has some other positions in the University of San Francisco. You can see him on this photo on that side. That was Gerardo Marin, and many of you that are here. So we would like to honor him working as hard as he did on this project. What we have really clear as crystal is that we have to give up unique opportunities to our students. We think that we can add, and we're still doing that, but we can add value to the international mobility with a different perspective that comes from our mission, the value that Jesuit institutions can build. One day, as you well have that in mind, a group of companions from different cultures and backgrounds together in the University of Paris decided to set off on a journey that changed their lives. And that change has impacted in many, many, many generations. So what we think is that let's go back to the basis, to the origin, and look for the impact that the lives of the young people have at our institutions. We know how to share. We've been doing that in our institutions in several occasions when we work under the inspiration of Ignacio de Loyola. We know how to build. We know how to look further. So we only need to decide to work together. That is our invitation today.
Thank you, Olivia. Yes. Sorry. So my name is Borja Martín. I'm the Director of International Relations in Universidad Loyola Andalucía, Spain. So these kind of programs, they have some precedents that probably most of you know. But nowadays, we find several examples of multilateral agreements in international mobility, such as ISEP, which is a private educational community dedicating to helping students overcome financial aid and academic barriers. We have an institutional big program in Europe called Erasmus+, which is the European Region Action Scheme for the mobility of university students. Erasmus has been helping to change Europe and to create a European identity for students and university communities. Actually, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary in this year. Also, we can have some precedents even between other Catholic congregations like La Salle. La Salle, they have been working for many years in the multilateral agreement called One La Salle. So they have already a program that open opportunities for the 60 universities and colleges around the world. So our proposal, it is to give a clear differential advantage, which is Jesuit education. So we, and now, hopefully now coordinated as well with all the big efforts of the International Association of Jesuit Universities, and also taking some very good examples. We've been discussing with Mickey in these days the great proposal that they have in IAJU, Asia Pacific, with the program of Global Leadership Program, to put all together the best of previous programs and the initiatives that we have among our network to put together Magis Exchange. Magis Exchange is about to build up a global solidarity mindset through semester-long experiences that combine academics with volunteering or internship connected with our Jesuit identity and mission. That's the goal. Actually, our aim is to define a project that is very much aligned with what Father Pedro Arrupe said, and quotes, educate men and women with and for others. So that's our aim. Our vision, it is to go further and to create a cohort, a global cohort of student leaders at a nation style. In order to do this, we propose that the students take courses aligned with the 6 task force that they have been discussed during these days. And actually to develop as well studies in the priorities that the IAJU has been underlining as the priorities of the Society of Jesus. Potentially, all the students, through all this new online system, they can take as well a common course on global citizenship that helps to create, as Panjat, Misra, and Gal Giro underline in these days, enlightening young leaders, the young leaders that we need to transform our world together. Furthermore, we can also, this dream, but it can be possible, we can also organize Magis Exchange reunions in order that the students participating reflect, understand together about their experience, and offering as well some encouraging sessions to live the Magis, with the goal to reach more and better for common good, human dignity, and social justice. As also we have as a goal that this multilateral agreement will increase the partnership that we have between us and will allow the participants to exchange students with all member institutions. For sure, it's compatible with other agreements and other previous relationships that we have among us. And third, and this is our uniqueness, is to put in motion a mission-driven experience that combines academic with service. Also, I hope that the Magis Exchange can collaborate as well with Alpha Sigma Nu and with other university students honor or students association that they are already ongoing in our universities. As Father General Peter Comelman said, the real measure of our Jesuit universities lies in who our students become. So let's help them to be the students that we really, want to transform. Very briefly, how do we do it? Now we have IAJU, so the home institution, the sending institution, and the receiving institution, all of them, they will be coordinated. As the IAJU still doesn't have a staff and the resources to coordinate it, initially the Executive Secretariat has been a sponsor, or the proposal is to be sponsored by Universidad Loyola Andalucía. So we will try to dedicate the staff of people because it takes time, staff, budget to coordinate all this. We dream with a program that is accessible for students, so we can develop an international fund for scholarships, we can fundraise, we can also take the opportunities of institutional program like Erasmus also in order to look for resources for Magis Exchange. But we also want to do a proposal that is accessible for students. So the invitation, it is that in order to be part of this, there is a minimum of 2 students to be sent and a minimum of 2 students to receive. So we believe that the commitment is accessible. We are sure that it will be a small group first of universities that we would like to join. Hopefully will increase step by step. And the rest of the university will come sooner or later. We're doing a program, and as I said, where the membership is voluntary for the IAJU members. In terms of the academic requirements, initially we have think about the third 4 year of undergraduate students, but it can be also applied to graduate students. It will be a credit transfer, and we will have a common online education because we want to create a global cohort. It will be a tuition waiver where a student will pay tuition to the home university. Insurance, accommodation, and visa, we will provide the assistance that most of our universities do with other programs and with other initiatives. We have already, or most of our universities have the know-how. So At the end, what we are trying to do is to find answers to the calls of CG 35 and 36, and following the address of Father General yesterday, to transform our life together through reconciliation, discernment, and generosity. Thank you so much.
So the idea is the institution nominates 2 students who would like to participate in the program. They pay the home tuition. They receive 2 students from other institutions, and those students pay, again, their home tuition. And then the university helps find housing and so on. And all of the full credits of the institution are transferable to the home institution of the student. So more details to be worked out. The idea is to form this cohort of student leaders who have had this semester-long experience of an exchange. The next group I'd like to call here is, I'd like to call Kate Gardner to the podium. Kate runs Alpha Sigma Nu, which is an honors society in the United States and now some international chapters. The reason we asked Kate to come is the thinking is this: should there be an international alumni association or an international honors society that is shared across the globe? She'll tell you how Alpha Sigma Nu works, and then we can look at, the regions can look at, is this a particular model that we could adopt in the region and build a network of alumni associations across the globe? There is a Jesuit alumni association, but it's made up mostly and run by people that went through our secondary schools. There's nothing that exists at the higher ed level except for individual alumni associations, which are great. But this would be building slowly an international alumni association made up of the leaders of our present student body. A lot easier to keep track of a certain number as opposed to trying to keep track of all of our graduates. So that's the idea. Kate?
Thank you. Good morning. Of course, it's a complete coincidence that our introductory slide has a certain Jesuit on it. Father Kolvenbach's seminal address, The Service of Faith and the Promotion of Justice in Jesuit Higher Education, continues to influence and inspire even after 18 years. A Jesuit Honor Society, then, by definition, will honor those students that Father Kolvenbach had in mind. Alpha Sigma Nu challenges students to excel, not just in their academic pursuits, but in their commitment to the values of Jesuit higher education and in serving others. Chapters engage members in programs promoting the mission of their Jesuit universities, and in the process, they build a like-minded community of students who become alumni with a distinct set of beliefs and values. ASN provides a platform for members to collaborate with Jesuits on mission. Yes, honor societies are historically distinctly American, and until the 20th century, frankly, Protestant. But Father John Danahy took the concept of an honor society and made it Jesuit by requiring loyalty to the Jesuit ideals and service, as well as academic excellence, when he founded Alpha Sigma Nu at Marquette University in 1915. The U.S. Jesuit universities chartered chapters over the next 50 years. Sogang University became our first international chapter in 1975. ASN welcomed Regis College in Toronto in 2000, a chapter at Campion College in Regina, Saskatchewan in 2005, And Loyola Andalusia founded our first European chapter in 2015, a particularly appropriate time as that was the year Alpha Sigma Nu celebrated its 100th anniversary. The purpose of the Society from its inception has been to honor students who distinguish themselves in the three articulated Alpha Sigma Nu values: scholarship, loyalty, and service, and to band those people together who have been honored to promote the ideals of Jesuit education and encourage alumni to see this membership as an ongoing lifetime commitment. This is more clearly seen in our mission, as ASN encouraged members to a lifetime pursuit of intellectual development, deepening Ignatian spirituality, service to others, and a commitment to the core principles of Jesuit education. Our pillars lead us. Scholarship, academic excellence is the first qualification. Loyalty to the Ignatian educational vision and the ideals of Jesuit higher education. And service. ASN expects its members to translate intellect and ideals into action. So how does this happen? An ASN chapter is established at the request of the university president. The board of directors will charter a new chapter. The president of the university appoints a faculty advisor to guide the chapter. Chapters induct student members annually, and students are elected or appointed to serve on an executive board that then develops and executes chapter programs. Our office, the central office, there we go, assists and guides annual chapter inductions, and we seek to be both guide and igniter for those chapters. So we share program ideas and chapter management strategies. We train and connect student leaders so that they can lead more effectively. We administer grant programs as well as money for student participation in Ignatian leadership conferences. It was Father Pedro Arrupe who first articulated to our alumni members the challenge to live the ASN values post-graduation. He issued this challenge when he addressed Alpha Sigma Nu's 50th anniversary celebration. In the intervening years, with the help of technology, ASN has developed a multi-pronged alumni strategy. Our alumni clubs are in 10 cities in the US and one in Seoul, South Korea. And starting a club is very simple. 8 members in the geographical area petition the board for a charter. And again, we help them with program ideas, connect leaders to share for idea sharing. We facilitate the connection between alumni clubs and their local university chapter. We help them with emailing to inform members of club events. And we, again, administer grant programs for alumni clubs. So you know what, I'm sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. There we go. So, but not all of our alumni members have access geographically. We may not have a club in their city, or they may not have the time to engage with our clubs. So with members all over the world, Alpha Sigma Nu seeks to serve the larger alumni community with the help of technology. We use our website, our social media, email to inform members of ASN programs and Jesuit resources. We target emails to alert members, again, of ASN events and other Jesuit or Ignatian happenings near where they live. We use our website, our newsletters, our webinars, and social media to promote other Jesuit projects, province events, and university events. And so by doing this, we build local, regional, and global communities of Alpha Sigma Nu. And we do this using our database. Excuse me. Our database has 90,000 members, representing the 32 member institutions. It's password protected, and is searchable by year of induction, which is pretty much age, geographical location, alma mater, and occupation. Alumni can connect with each other independently through our website to network for social, career, or service purposes. And Alpha Sigma Nu can communicate with members targeted by those same data points: year of induction, geographical location, alma mater, etc. So how do we use it? As I mentioned before, primarily to inform members of ASN events and programs, but we also email for Jesuit partners to share topics of interest for Jesuit-educated alumni. For example, we send out Advent resources from IgnatianSpirituality.com. We've posted Lenten resources from Creighton Online Ministries. And we can send segmented emails, alert members, for example, to Ignatian Solidarity Network events or Jesuit province events by targeting by location. We can email by location. I think a really good example is when contemplative leaders in Ignatian leadership training program in the States for young adults, when they recruit, they let us know, and we can target not just by location, but by age as well, to help them in their efforts. We highlight all these things in our links, resources, post events, on our calendar, and on our webpage. And we share all this on social media. I've had to learn all the Twitter stuff and all those things. In researching this talk, I took a look at the many Jesuit links across the globe, and I truly see the potential of a group like ASN being a conduit for higher education regional conferences and universities, as a network like ours can connect people and efforts across borders. For example, an ASN-like organization for Ashal could share news and events from their universities and organizations such as Fe y Alegria, Jesuitas, and CEDAL. You may be thinking we have a large staff. There we go. We don't. I am the only full-time person, and we have I have two part-time colleagues. So it's doable with a small staff. So why do it? Loyalty, to promote the vision of St. Ignatius Loyola to form Jesuit-educated, don't you love that? That's at St. Peter's. Jesuit-educated men and women called to make and live out a lifelong personal commitment to the moral and social values of the gospel. My experience with Loyola Andalusia has taught me that an ASN-type organization gives the university the opportunity to recognize these honor students and ask them to model the university mission and to mobilize them in mission and ministry efforts, especially when there may not be other student organizations doing so. The chapter has built a bridge to the community, and the Loyola members build bridges to other ASN chapters as they travel around the world studying abroad. Now, thanks to the efforts of two of these Loyola students, I'd like to share this short video.
It's a great way for us to recognize the students who are excited, involved, engaged, and who are displaying excellence in their academic work, and to make them even more engaged in our college community.
The potential for Alpha Sigma Nu to serve as a global honor society and as a hallmark of Jesuit higher education seems nearly boundless.
A global honor society could be a good instrument to meet each other, to join forces, to share activities, to do things together. For this reason, I think that a global honor society like Alpha Sigma Nu is a great idea for the Society of Jesus.
Thanks to the collaboration between Jesuit universities, I had the opportunity to study in Marquette University and Sogan University. This made me experience Alpha Sigma Nu in three very different environments. Although the environment is very different, I found on Alpha Sigma Nu people that share the same values. I found people that are prepared and committed to change the social realities that can be found in any of our countries.
It has been a very challenging approach in terms that at the beginning for us, the brand, some of the image of Alpha Sigma Nu, it was a little different from what it have here in Europe, where honor societies are not that popular. But actually, when you go deep into Alpha Sigma Nu, you realize that the values that this honor network promotes, they are totally aligned with the values of our university.
They have passion to be loyal to our alma mater. They eager to serve the people. So such a morally and spiritual good educated person we need for the promotion of justice and faith. They are a partner of our mission and identity.
Not all of our Alpha Sigma Nu recipients are Catholic. And so it's been a wonderful way of including everybody around those values of loyalty, scholarship, and service. Our students in Alpha Sigma Nu are living out those Jesuit values. They're learning how to be bridge builders in a very pluralist society that we have here in Saskatchewan.
They are Fulbright scholars serving in sub-Saharan Africa and Central America. They bring human wisdom and godly tenderness to those we serve.
Ha colaborado magníficamente bien, de manera incondicional con el servicio de evangelización y diálogo, fomentando en primer lugar la participación de todos los estudiantes, que se sintieran protagonistas. Han contribuido mucho en iniciativas de tipo social y de tipo voluntario para poner al servicio de los demás todo lo que reciben.
And I think if they have a mindful experience, so-called heartbroken experience during the study at Sogang, then they remember this experience so that they can commit over our goals.
They wanted to give back to the community, but they weren't sure how to do that. So they were led in a nation discernment exercise, and they discerned that they were going to help street youth, young people on the streets.
Personas disponibles, personas abiertas, personas dialogantes, y yo diría sobre todo con ganas de cambiar el mundo.
This invites me to dream about other college students having similar experience in other Jesuit universities.
Yeah, I'm saying you. Thank you. Today, young people expect to be connected globally. And such a network, as Jose mentions, can connect those with shared values and beliefs. A network like ours is a vibrant one, with members who are Jesuit educated and engaged out in the world. It can provide you with an accessible, usable database for communicating with alumni across multiple institutions. An organization like ours can promote Jesuit projects, province programs, and other apostolates. And it can join IAJU in implementing GCs 35 and 36 in assisting in forming civic and political leaders and lay leaders. So what are the possibilities? Well, we certainly at Alpha Sigma Nu would welcome you chartering an Alpha Sigma Nu chapter. And please feel free to reach out to me anytime in the conference or via email. For regions, regions can determine the characteristics most appropriate to honor for their cultures and university systems when creating an ASN-like organization. And Alpha Sigma Nu is ready to assist with this at any time. And should a university start a chapter in a region that later creates their own ASN-like organization, we would be happy to help with the transition. So I thank you for this wonderful opportunity to share Alpha Sigma Nu with you. I would like to thank Mark Castillo-Castro and Ignacio Garrido Cruz for their important contributions to this presentation. And I'd also like to thank the members, both students and alumni, of Sogang, Regis, Campion, Loyola Andalusia, and the US 28 for giving me the window through which I've seen the magic that happens when students and alumni across borders and oceans unite in the service of faith and the promotion of justice. Gracias, merci, kamsahamnida, thank you.
So the thought is, the question is there value to creating a kind of global network of organizations like this, of students, who then we follow as alumni of our institutions? The next group I'd like to call to the stage, John Dardis and Diego Lozada, are leading a leadership program. John, as you probably know, is the Assistant to the General for Discernment and Planning, a new position, a new regional, a new advisor that the General has created, and asked John to take that on. And they've got a couple of projects, but they want to share this particular one with you.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning. Buenos dias. It's great to get this opportunity to be here this morning and to tell you a little bit about the Discernment and Planning Office in the Curia. The truth is, we're still working it out. There are some flyers outside as you leave the aula which talk a bit about the process for universal preferences, and a very basic outline on apostolic planning and something on discernment in common. So we're trying to resource the society in those kinds of areas around the world. The flyers are in English, Spanish, and French. So as Mike said, I'm an Irish Jesuit working in Rome, so I speak a kind of Irish-Italian at the moment. With me is Diego. He's a graduate of ESADE Business School, working with the Conference of Provincials. So thank you, Frank Janin, for allowing him work, especially in the last year, on this project quite intensively. We're working with David McCallum from Lemoyne. Thank you, Linda, for making him available. And with Philip Endine from Centre Sèvres. Thank you to François Baudec and to his successor, Etienne, for making Philip available. We're also working with Sandra from Beirut. And we've been advised by Jose Maria Guibert. So a lot of people have worked with us on this leadership program. Just a word on higher education. I put it there, it's an exciting and essential mission. I really believe that. Ideas. The last disastrous 20th century was shaped by ideas, ideologies, the wrong ones. Few people could stand up and say, stop. Famous German Jesuit Rupert Meyer was one of them. Can we in our universities educate people to sniff out ideologies and have the courage to say, stop, stop? We need that today. Millions of people, tens of millions died in the last century because of ideology. And today we've got secularism, an aggressive secularism, and consumerism that destroy the individual. So we've been working in the European Conference and now more globally on leadership, because there's a crisis of global leadership, and we think that our universities and that the society has something to say about leadership today. We've developed a concept of pilgrim leadership, like Ignatius the Pilgrim. And we've developed this based on the African program of leadership from the provincials, the JCAP one in Asia, working with David from North America. So the European program, in the Curia now, we're taking the insights from various conferences and saying, we need to bring this together. We need to be serious about training leaders and about the kind of leaders we ourselves are becoming. Key concepts: gratitude, the examen built on gratitude. Where's God been working in my life today? Jesuits and Ignatian people are detectives of grace, sniffing out, where has God been in the world? The church is often seen as looking for the disgrace, the sin, what's wrong. Bishop condemns, church criticizes. Our spirituality is a spirituality of grace, fundamentally. Also of vulnerability, the first week. Going against pride and honor and riches. So we're developing our leadership program based on then imagination, to make it a journey of liberation and reconciliation for our world. We need imagination, fearless contemplation of what is. Ignatius didn't pretend reality was lovely. He didn't ignore poverty or forced migration. You can see the quotation in GC 35. He looked at it as it was, and then he imagined with the Trinity a different possibility. That's our mission. That's what we're trying to say. If you're an Ignatian leader, and we all are, that's the dynamic. Fearless contemplation of what is, and bold imagining of what could be. Imagining that this situation could change to that. That's a project there run by the Loreto sisters in South Sudan, imagining a different situation for women. Michael Warren says, who's really imagining your life for you? When I work with young people, that question stops them. Who's really imagining their lives? Is it Mrs. Gucci or Mr. Chanel? Eternity is an aftershave. Hands up those who use it. And listen to the prophet Isaiah. Mountains laid low, valleys lifted up. He imagines something, and with that imagination harnesses energy and change. Can we paint a picture of freedom that speaks to people today? Ignatius, there he is on his mule, heading off on his journey of liberation. The exercises, liberation. Our education, liberation from ideologies. Discernment, getting in touch with the Trinity, essential for that. Diego will now bring you through the dynamics of the program that are dynamics aimed at conversion, the journey of conversion. And hopefully I can hand over the microphone. It fell down. Oh, that's the first disaster. Thank you.
Thank you, John. When John asked me to speak in front of such a distinguished audience, I could not turn down the offer, obviously. So it's an honor for me to be here to present this small but ambitious project that we are developing. My goal during these 5 minutes is very simple. It's basically to show you a tool that hopefully you can use in your organization. It's a tool to help you build capacity for mission through the formation of leadership in an Ignatian way of proceeding, as you can see here. Okay, this project focuses on the individual call to leadership, but at the same time, we add the dimension of doing this in collaboration with others as a whole body. I'm sure that the initiatives that have been presented here, the strategic priorities, would not succeed if you did not do this together. So I take the freedom to add a new word that does not exist, so sorry for that, but it's called to communityship, okay? To do this together, okay, towards a common purpose. There's already many good initiatives taking place in the world. John has mentioned several of them. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We are just trying to offer a small tool that would help enrich what is already happening in the world. You can divide the different initiatives in different levels. For example, at the local level, you have individual Jesuits and partners in mission who are already doing a very good work. Jesuit institutions, most of you are rectors and leaders from these institutions. There's already good programs in these institutions. Some of them are even based on the Ignatian approach. Provinces and regions, as John mentioned, conferences who are already doing things. And also at the international level, you have JRS starting to work on leadership formation, the secretariats, as we have seen through the leadership of Father Garanzini, and finally the Curia. The project that we are presenting was originally developed by the Conference of European Provincials in collaboration with other conferences, but is now being supported by the Curia in Rome and taking into account people from all around the world. Okay, so let's get down to business. What we are offering you is a set of resources to help individuals build capacity for mission. We have developed a website where all these resources will be available. However, I don't have time to show you the whole website, but I put down here a link that you will be able to access and give us feedback and see how we can improve it. This will be available for everybody in September, and in addition, we are starting to build an online course so people can also do the course online. And finally, there's an experts meeting that the Curia in Rome is thinking on developing during 2019. So talk to John if you want to send somebody there. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 cents on the comprehensive framework that creatively links the Ignatian tradition with the world of leadership. The first module focuses on the care for the individual, something that the Society of Jesus has worked on since Ignatius. As you can see, we invite participants during this module to reflect on their gifts and vulnerabilities. And these are some of the topics that you will be able to find there. So leadership styles, skills and competencies, Ignatius as a leader. Then we would move in module 2 to leading for and with others. This is more on the idea of the team. The topics here will be focused more on how do we inspire others for mission? The third module is related to the time of Ignatius in Rome, where he started to develop the governance structures. It's focused on organizational development. Some of the topics, communal discernment, mission, vision, and values, strategic planning. And finally, module 4, some people already have talked about Rupert Meyer or Ignacio Yacuria. It's focused on leadership at the peripheries. It looks into the reality, into the context where we are working. So basically universities, social centers, spiritual centers, refugee service. The idea is to talk about book environments, adaptive leadership, creativity, and imagination, like John told us about. Each of these 4 modules is divided into different sections, and each section has 4 different types of document. So the first one is a story based on the Ignatian tradition or the Bible that inspires participants. It's very short and straight to the point with some questions for reflection. The second point is an exercise that will lead people from reflection to action. Thirdly, a short input with insights, theoretical insights from academic experts and Ignatian insights. And finally, since these documents are short and straight to the point, we will offer a list of resources that people can use to dig deeper and to really strive for the magis. I'm going to finish by a quote from Kolbenbach that I think everybody quoted him at the moment, but I'm using another quote. Basically, he inspired us to rediscover, re-embrace, and readapt the original charism of the founders, okay? And so I finished with this image. It's a depiction of the first fathers, and to invite you to reflect on the idea that without them and without their leadership, we would not be here today, none of us. So keep this in mind when you're trying to think about the rich tradition of your institutions and how we can re-embrace it and rediscover it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Diego. He's been fantastic working on this program, and we had a great time. Just to emphasize one thing, vulnerability. The first module was on my personal vulnerability, and the last module, vulnerability at the frontiers. It's a fantastic unifying theme. Also from the Curia, we're doing this website on discernment in common. You're doing your priorities. We're doing the preferences in the Curia, as Michael said. It's a big moment of change for the Society of Jesus. And this meeting is part of it. It really is, I'm convinced. We're entering a whole new era. The world is crying out for something. So many people marginalized, left out. And we are on the move, and we need to reimagine ourselves. Thank you very much.
Let me just ask you some questions. First, can we link your website to our website so that I don't have to send out another website?
Yes.
So we could do that.
No, for sure. These resources will be available for the whole Society of Jesus, okay. So whoever wants to use.
So the course, the second question, the course can be done online, but there is also a leadership conference that will be next year in Rome?
The idea of the conference is 6 or 7 people from each of the 6 provincials conference. Experts, there's so much expertise I discovered. Bring all that together, and the Curia would facilitate the sharing of best practice, sharing of online courses. We see our role as a catalyst for going to the next step. So it's a major conference we'd hope to have probably in May 19 or November 2019.
So the people that we should be looking at to offer this course or to suggest that they do this, staff, faculty, could students do it as well?
Yeah, we need to work out some of this stuff. There's resources online, and then there's an online course. We're still working out how best to give the online course and who exactly it's for. But we've done the concept based on a lot of stuff you've given us. We've developed this concept that we think is pretty good and very Ignatian. It's not just management insights with Ignatian icing on the cake. It's permeated by gratitude, vulnerability, and passion. Most importantly, passion and amor.
Would you suggest that that people do this in groups?
Yeah. We had wanted to bring a little flyer today, a brochure for you, to specify some of these things. Groups are great. When we ran the European program, we had almost 30 people, and we said from different backgrounds. We had provincial, heads of schools, heads of faculties, and they formed each other. It was very exciting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you very much. Well, I hope you don't mind my question. The next person I've asked to give us a sense of what's going on is Father Jose Mesa. Jose Mesa and I work together a lot. He's the secretary for primary and secondary education, and many of these projects, for example, the website itself, they have a website that's really geared for the secondary schools and primary schools, their needs, but we need to work together on projects like this so that, for example, policies, raising money, and so on and so forth, to keep these going, we should be doing together. So Father Mesa is going to talk about the secondary ed.
Good morning to everybody, and thank you to Mike. And as Mike was saying, we have been working together, and I think that there is a lot of potential if the 200 universities and the 2,300 schools that we have in the world come together and work together. We still have a long way to go to do that, but we have been able to do a few things together. Mike asked me to give you a picture of what is happening in secondary education. You see here the map of our Jesuit schools, secondary and pre-secondary education. Again, 2,300 schools, counting Fe Alegria and some of the education projects of GRS. We are companions in a mission of reconciliation and justice. And we have been doing, this is like the contemporary path of renewal, collaboration, and networking, a living tradition in Jesuit education. Our schools, Jesuit schools, are still very well known in the world because of their academic standards and all of that. But we are very aware, as Father Arrupe and Father Coleman have said several times, that we need to be in this constant change because the world is changing. So we need to change with the world. And you see here a few of the big events that we have had in the last decades to help our schools to move forward and to be able to give a good education and quality education within our own context today. I'm going to focus especially in what we call the first cycle of meetings. We just finished last year with Father General in Rio de Janeiro, that we call Discovering Our Apostolic Global Potential. We began with a colloquium in 2012. Some of you were there in that colloquium in Boston. It was for the leadership teams. And in that colloquium, we realized that we really had a great potential if we could work together. In 2014, we have here in Spain, in Manresa, we have the International Seminar on Ignatian Pedagogy and Spirituality. And it was a very good moment for us to realize the links and to strengthen our own sources. And again, we had last year in Rio de Janeiro, in beautiful Rio de Janeiro, an equivalent meeting to the one that you are having here with the delegates of education of the Society of Jesus. It was the first time in the history of the society that we gathered all the delegates with one idea, that it was time to work together. No more talk about how beautiful our network is, how wonderful we are, that we are in so many cultures. Let's do things together. And out of that meeting came an action statement that reflects this idea. We are united in a global network, a fire that handles other fires. So you see here the pictures of that meeting, that again, it was a very important momentum for our schools. And there were some main takeaways of that meeting for our schools. We felt at that point that we are ready for global networking and collaboration. And we see Educate Magis. Educate Magis is our online platform that Mike was mentioning as a way to be able to develop that global networking. Then the cycle that I just mentioned has allowed us to build a continuous momentum. It ratifies the importance of an ongoing process, always open to new developments, because the idea that we want to do with our schools is that change is not a matter of one day or 1 year. It's something that we need to continuously do. Discernment has to be continuous discernment. And the third one is that we ratify the importance of holding the Congress in an Ignatian spiritual environment, prayers, Eucharist, examen, and the discernment. We also incorporated in that meeting a virtual media audience. So we were only around 120 people in Rio de Janeiro, but there were at least, you see here, 12,000 people visiting our website, participating. We had a pre-Congress where everybody from our schools could participate in a way that when we arrived in Rio, people from our school had already expressed their concerns, their views, their opinions about our discussions. So you see that is something that we are incorporating in all our meetings, global meetings now, is that we always have a virtual component to our meetings to make sure that it stays not only in the small gathering that we have there, but it's also spread to everybody in the world. Out of that meeting came an action statement with 13 actions that the delegates commit to enforce in our schools around the world. I'm not going to go one by one, but these 13 actions are in 4 areas: the experience of God, the tradition, a call to innovation in education, caring for our common home, justice and reconciliation, and sent in a global network. Again, the idea during this Congress is that it was time to walk the talk. The idea was no more talking, let us work together and let us walk together. So I think that that's what we stress in Educate Magis, in this online platform that you are more than welcome to visit. They are now helping our schools to implement those 13 actions. And so they created a hub where schools can share what they are doing about those 13 actions, how they are incorporated that into their plans, how they are responding to this, what are the best practices that they are finding in doing this, and what are also the worst practices in doing this. So the good thing is that our schools are responding to this, to all this process. So we are increasing the exchange programs among our schools, but even more important, we have now global initiatives that have global impact in our schools. So I mentioned a few of them here, like the Red Share from Entre Culturas here in Spain and Fe Alegría. Now many of our schools are sharing that experience with our students and faculty. We have another project, the ABCD project from Asia Pacific, that many schools around the world are now joining and doing this too. FLACSI created a program called the Political Analysis Network, and they have also invited schools from all over the world to do this. We had the Hemispheres, is that from the Jesuit schools networks in Canada and the US, and we also have been able to share Walk a Mile in My Shoes from GRS Education, and we also have an International Baccalaureate Memorandum of Understanding that many schools from our network are also joining. We are now working in interconnected classrooms that we are offering through Educate Magis. We are also now, for the first time in the history of Jesuit schools, now 2 of the regional associations, the one from Canada and the US, and the one from Latin America, are doing things together. They are now exploring going beyond the regional boundaries and borders and going and doing things together. We have also the Global Citizenship Project. Father General gave us a big challenge in Rio de Janeiro that I thought he repeated yesterday in Loyola. He said to us, global citizenship or universal citizenship, as you want to call it, we should, as Jesuit schools, be proactive in that conversation, not only reactive to what is happening in the conversation, but to be able to propose ways to understand global citizenship in our world. So we are taking that very seriously. We have a task force from all the 6 regions of the world working seriously how we can implement this in our schools. And I have been talking to Mike Arancini about how we can do this together, because of course together we are stronger. We also had the High Center for Global Education. This is located in Boston College High School, but they are all really modeling how we can do that in our schools. So many other schools in the US, in other parts of the world, are now following the steps of this High Center for Global Education. And we had really made global networking as a priority. This is important because our schools, even more than the universities, are very local, and that's wonderful, and that's good. But what we want to do that now is also that they can open their walls to the world, that they can see the world. So this is a big challenge, but I think that the good thing is that they are responding. And many websites and social networks around are spreading the word from Rio de Janeiro. Father's General Discourse has been very well received in our schools, and it has become another important source of how we can really respond to our context today. So this is the idea, as the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. But in Jesuit schools, we want to go far. And so that is why we want to go together. It's easier to say than to do, as you probably know. But I think that the good news is that we are getting there. We are beginning now a second cycle of meetings, and that we call Walking as a Global Network at the Service of the Mission. This will go from 2020 to 2029. The second colloquium, the first one, as I mentioned, was in Boston, where many of you actually were there. So we will have the second one in Yogyakarta, Indonesia in 2020. Then we will have a second seminar like the one we had in Manresa, probably in India. And then we will have again another Congress of the delegates to say, okay, how are we doing and what else can we do together? Let's continue this path of working together. This is, again, one of the special challenges coming from Father General. You see him there in Rio de Janeiro. And this idea that the world is truly our house, that we are all members of a single humanity, that we all bear a common responsibility for the welfare of the entire world, and that we need to think and act locally and globally now. This global peace is what is we need to go. So discernment, collaboration, and networking are the path that we want to do as a response to the universal challenges that we had today. I also want to say that in the Secretariat we created this book, Ignatian Pedagogy. Is the classic and contemporary text of Jesuit education. You got the flyer in your folders, and you can get it, as you see there, in Amazon or Loyola Press. It's in English now, but we are working now in the Spanish edition that will be part of the Manresa collection. And I think that at the end of this year or beginning of the next year, it should be available in Spanish. And then we will be working in the Portuguese and the French editions. The idea is to put in one place all those important official or semi-official discourses that we all know about, but sometimes it's difficult to know where they are. So we try to put all that together since St. Ignatius of Loyola time, through Nadal, all of these Jesuits that we know, Ledesma, all of them are there together. So areas of collaboration with higher education that we have been exploring with Mike Arancini and that we can do much more is Healing Earth project that you know. Some of our schools have been working with the people from the universities in this very important project and very promising. Global citizenship education is one of our priorities. Online platforms, as Mike Arancini mentioned, and academic programs of Jesuit education, Ignatian pedagogy. Despite that we are 200 universities and more than 2,000 schools all over the world, we don't have online programs of education. I mentioned to you this in Melbourne last time. Now, the good news is that Deusto here will be offering next year a master's degree program on Jesuit education, Ignatian pedagogy, and the US is going to offer the same probably next year too. So at least 2 areas of the world will be offering something like that. That is very important for our schools, high schools, and for our universities. But we are really looking forward to be able to work more together. And to be able to join together Jesuit schools, Jesuit universities, secondary and pre-secondary education to be able to respond to our great challenges together. So let's look forward to continue working together. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Jose. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Jose. Thank you. We have one more presentation and then 2 brief announcements, but this next group is, you've heard a little bit about already, Jesuit Worldwide Learning. They'd asked for some time to make a presentation to you and a request. So I'd ask Peter, and I think John is coming up to do that.
Good morning, and thank you very much for your interest. Transforming the world together requires, as a first step, learning together. And I mean learning together with the poor. It's very important. That's why we call it learning together to transform the world. I just focus on 4 main characteristics of this work. I don't need to develop many slides, because I made it already available in the booklet, and more copies are there if you want the detailed information about the organization. But what is very important, it is global, and we put that map there where you see these are the countries which have also been pointed out in the talk by Shira about where the difficulties are, climate changes, the conflicts and so on. That's where we focus on. That's where we consider the margins. But it's global learning in the virtual space. In order to form global citizenship and a global mindset, we have also students from the US universities and Germany in our global classroom with students from the margins. And that can evolve further as a way of collaborating. Oops. Okay, yeah. The second major point is it's high quality. The best for the least. So we work together with distinguished universities to offer high quality education. But it's also high quality of the students who study in that program. The poor have a lot of talent. There's a lot of unutilized talent out there, and to give the people a chance to bring in their thinking, their talent, will help us, and we need it to transform this world. It's Jesuit formation in all senses, leadership, things we've talked already about, the Ignatian pedagogy, which we use in the way the online courses are being built, and also what we see as a result in the students. And it is collaboration. Jesuit Worldwide Learning is not a university, it is an alliance of universities. And we want to build that alliance further. Some came in early, like Regis, Georgetown, Creighton, Gonzaga, helped us, but we can build now this alliance globally with institutions, with Newman Institute in Sweden and others. There are a lot of conversations going on building courses. What we need is, university presidents always ask, and we're afraid we want money. I don't want your money. We want your knowledge and time of your professors, and that you award the poor with the same quality of a degree. That's what it is, what they need. So that's what we are asking for, and what we are looking for, long-term collaboration. And I end now my slideshow. I let the students talk. Go now to Afghanistan, one of the over 30 learning sites. We have different community learning sites around the world. Just listen to the students, the context, what they say after 2 years studying with Regis University, the Diploma in Liberal Arts. And now those students who speak in the film, they are now students of Creighton University. They continue to a Bachelor in Leadership. And at the same time, the 10 students, they open 5 new learning centers high up in the mountains in the valleys. They teach English. And they do the Bachelor, teach others, and run a learning center. That's how we can bring the education to the margins.
World-famous Buddha statues in Bamiyan, central Afghanistan. In spring 2001, the Taliban came to Bamiyan. Every reminder of any religion other than Islam had to be destroyed and eradicated. But now, something amazing is happening in this place of violence.
They think of that, they mean that the girls should never study or something like this. But we want to change this idea that the people should not think of that, then should not discriminate between girls or even boys.
Below the destroyed Buddhas now lies a school. Here, Zainab, Hakima, and 24 other young people studied 2 years for a diploma in liberal arts. The Department of Education of the province of Bamiyan supplied the building for free. The curriculum was developed by the online education program of Jesuit Worldwide Learning, JWL. All of the students come from poor families.
Negative. How we will make it negative?
After finishing her studies, Laluma now teaches English to girls. Next to the main street in Bamiyan, her father has a small mechanic workshop. He could never earn the money necessary to send his daughter to a private or state-run university in Kabul. Therefore, He was all the more happy that his daughter could study with Jesuit Worldwide Learning and JRS. He would never have thought of preventing his daughter from a higher education. It really does not matter for me if somebody is a boy or a girl. Both should learn and study. 2 years the students followed a curriculum that was rather unusual in Afghanistan. They had online debates with American professors about politics and sociology. From other online students in refugee camps in Kenya or Malawi, they learned about their living conditions in a faraway part of the world. Almost all students immediately quote the course about world religions as the most important one during their studies.
The best thing which I have learned was in religion, in that course, because I always have got an idea and that 3 religions can be good, like Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. But what about Buddhism? I was thinking Buddhism, it is so bad. But as I have studied, as I have reflected deeply inside each religion, it made me open that each religion has got its own values, and all the religions of the world share the same thing, which is humanity and respecting, loving each other.
For many students, it was a novel experience to share a classroom with members of other ethnic groups other than their own.
The students and the teachers, they were mixed from different ethnic groups. So I could learn about their ethnic group, about their religion and culture. And they really helped me to get information about different people. And they helped me to think differently.
This is a common experience for all the diploma students. Liberal arts studies with Jesuit Worldwide Learning has changed them a lot.
So before that, I did not know that what is my responsibility based on my community. Just I was thinking that I am here and I need my personal benefit. But when I study some materials, some courses and all, I came to know that no, I have some responsibility based on my community, on people who are far-fetched from here.
The beginning of March 2018, the big day, graduation. They all had gathered in the best hotel in town. The event carried an immense importance for the whole province. That fact was underlined by the presence of the governor of the province of Bamiyan.
Let me end with a quote. I will make a change. And that for sure will be positive and will make proud all those who have supported me. Not in the very far, but in the near future. Thank you.
Hakima wants to transfer the knowledge she has received. Therefore, she teaches English in the village where she comes from.
What are you doing? I say nothing.
But she has further plans.
As I have been studying business, I have got another plan as well, that to support women of that community where I came from, in order to, and they will help me, I'll help them cooperatively. We will work and start a small business that only women will be involved in that one, and will create some job opportunities for women, as well as I will continue my own business.
The Taliban could destroy the ancient Buddhas in Bamiyan, but they failed to eradicate the vision of a human and open society in Afghanistan. This vision is alive with the diploma students and all the young ones coming after them.
Just a couple more.
There we go. We're almost done, I promise. In Amman, Jordan, a Muslim woman and her 2 children, a girl of about 12 and a boy of about 10, came running up to me after her graduation from the diploma program in liberal studies, and she shouted, "Father, Father, I must have my picture taken with you." So, a little red-faced, I agreed. And nearly her whole family of about 40 people gathered around. And after lots of pictures and handshaking, she put her hand on my robe and she said, "Do you know what you've done for me?" And I said haltingly, "Yes, I think so." She said, "No, you do not know." She smiled, as big a smile as I have ever seen. She said, "Father, you do not know. I will tell you. You see, I am a Muslim woman, a refugee from Syria. I have children. I am now a single parent. And you have given me a life. In giving me a life, you have given my children a life." I will be participating in my 5th graduation ceremony for refugee students in Jesuit Worldwide Learning next week. At past ceremonies, I've experienced a profound sense of gratitude for what the international Jesuit community, what the international Jesuit university community can accomplish for those on the margins in the world. Sri Lanka, Kenya, Malawi, Syria, Jordan, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Brooklyn, New York. While I am proud of what the Jesuit community is doing for refugees around the world, I am profoundly saddened about what is happening in my own country, where refugees, asylum seekers, and immigrants are being mistreated, shunned, and separated from their children. It's a painful reminder of the continued suffering of the immigrant and refugee community, even in the developed world. It is also, more profoundly, a reminder of the importance of education, particularly Jesuit and Catholic education, where we teach students how to think, not what to think. We teach them values. We teach students to work against what the Holy Father has called the globalization of indifference. We at Regis University in Denver have articulated for ourselves 2 guiding principles. 1, we believe that we belong to each other and that each person shares responsibility for the long, hard work of shaping an inclusive community where all flourish. As a Jesuit Catholic university, we embrace the discomfort of examining our own presumptions, our failures, our shortcomings, and in our engagements with one another, we prepare ourselves to be challenged, strengthened, and transformed. And that is the insight that we want to bring to JWL. Second, we believe the university serves not only itself and its students, but is called to be a force for justice and peace globally. Above all, in defense of the poor and the marginalized. For us, the greater glory of God is to bear responsibility for the most pressing issues of our time. And this means exploring not only the dynamics of race, ethnicity, nationality, religion, gender, sexualities, and culture, but also the social and structural implications of privilege, power, and political order in our world. We just finished our summer JWL board meeting. JWL has aggressive plans to grow and expand its programs to reach more refugees through education, but the challenges remain, and they are changing perceptions about higher education around the world, technology, and funding. So while Peter is right, we're not making a pitch, we're making a pitch, just so you know. If our Jesuit way of proceeding, our values are to make the greatest impact on the plight of refugees around the world, our colleges, our universities must continue to support JWL. I am extremely proud that Regis University is the university of record for the diploma program. I am extremely proud that Creighton University builds on what Regis University is doing and brings it forward to the bachelor's level. Because Jesuit education is about transformation, transforming our students and in turn transforming entire communities, as you saw, we foster a depth of understanding of humanity and the complexities and the nuances of being human. From a president's point of view, what makes this transformation so important, not only seeing a refugee lifted from hopelessness to a situation of hope, is also that there's a reciprocal experience in this kind of transformational education. It's not simply for the refugees. It's for my students in Denver. It makes all the difference to us that we learn from the refugees. St. Ignatius of Loyola would be proud of our efforts, and it's a collaboration. It's no one team member, it's the whole team. We look forward to joining with you to quite literally transform the world. University education is the hallmark of that kind of transformation. With all my heart, thank you very much.